Now, for the actual review, there's a pretty big mix of good and bad with this movie. The main good thing is definitely Steve Rogers' character, Captain America. He's just like such a noble person. He's so great he has some good dynamics. There's one bad one that's one of the big problems with this movie that really brings it down. However, the good, he's such a noble person, as I just said. He'll do whatever it takes to do the right thing, and that's something we'll see later down the line, especially. But just for right now, the best dynamic so far would definitely, I would have to say, be Steve and Bucky, because they have like this almost brotherly bond, which I thought was really nice, and it's really good. Really nice, and it just does a good job of setting up for the next movie in the Captain America run. It'll be a while before we get to that, but I really can't wait for that. I love that movie so much. But just for now, we have the second really good dynamic I want to point out is Steve and the scientist, the one that chooses him for the super soldier serum experiment. I thought they shared a really nice bond too, where he really believed in him, even though he was weak. He wasn't strong like the others, but he was a good person. He wasn't rude to everyone. He didn't harass people like that one guy did, which I can't remember his name either. However, that was a really nice connection. And the why me scene, that's definitely one of my favorite parts of this whole movie, where he explains to him just why he picked him. And right, even when he gets shot, right at that moment, after Steve gets the serum injected inside of him and becomes really strong, right as he dies, he points right to Steve's heart to remind him, like, this is what makes you special, never lose that. And then he goes out and he catches the guy, and that was a good scene. This whole first act, I think, is really, really strong, actually. It got so immersive I forgot to take notes, actually, but yeah, that was really engaging in my opinion. But the negatives, there's some negatives too, such as Steve and his dynamic with Peggy, actually, which that's a shame because that would have made one of the final ones we're gonna do, it would have made that payoff a lot better. But anyway, what I don't really like about their dynamic is it's so underdeveloped. I don't feel like there's a relationship here. One of the scenes is just another girl kisses Steve, and then when he's testing out the vibranium shield, she just shoots a gun at him, and it's like, that's their main development for me. That's like the main bit that I really feel there, and that's not good. It's definitely not enough for me to feel like these characters are together, and it makes the sacrifice at the end not as good, but that scene's still really good. It's well shot. The action's pretty well choreographed, and the action throughout this movie is, it's just one of the bad things about it is that the only character in them I really care about is Steve, because after Bucky falls off the train, like, I don't really have anyone else to care about except for Steve, so there's no tension, really. There's just no tension between all the characters, because there's not really any stakes, because we know everything's going to be fine with the way it all turns out. Like, Steve's going to destroy Hydra, and he's going to foil the Red Skull's evil plan, which, what is his plan? Like, really, does he have one? He's not a very good villain, in my opinion. His character is another very underdeveloped thing about this movie. I almost feel like this movie should have been longer, like maybe just half an hour, 40 minutes longer. I know that would have brought the movie over. It's already just over 2 hours, and that would have brought it up to 3, but it would have been, I think that would have been worth it, just for a better film, for a better story. I'm okay with that. That's just a minor thing, though. Well, the runtime part is, the development's not. That's pretty major, isn't it? But yeah, Red Skull's not a very good villain. Peggy, their dynamic isn't good, but Steve has good dynamics with the scientist and Bucky. So that's some of the good. And for the story, it's not very great. It didn't really work for me. Or the whole attacking the Hydra base, that scene was good, but then when he comes back with all the prisoners liberated, including Bucky, it's after he comes back that's when the movie starts to go downhill for me. And then it picks back up right at the end with that last act and that last bit. The fight with Red Skull is pretty good, and then Red Skull, he picks up the Space Stone. Spoilers, even though we all know this by now. He picks it up and he gets sent off to Vormir, the planet, which I thought that was really clever, because when I first saw that when I was young, as I talked about before, I thought he had died. But of course, I never really cared about Red Skull. One last negative before we wrap this whole thing up. It sucks we have to end on a negative note here. The end credit scene, it sucks. It's very, very, very bad, because it's got nothing to do with the story. It doesn't have like any significance, and if you don't know what it is, it's literally just a trailer for the Avengers movie. That's all it is, and I know that was coming out the next year when this was released, but really, it's like, this could have been good for the story, but it wasn't. It's just a commercial, which I'm sure people were already pumped for that movie. I know when I saw that trailer, I wanted to go see it, and I didn't even know about the MCU yet. There's one more positive, actually, before we get to the final score, and that positive is, I like the scene when he wakes up in 2011 in modern times, when he's greeted by Nick Fury, and then when he finds out what's happened to him, his first thought's just, I had a date, which that's really in character for Steve, even though that relationship wasn't super well developed, in my opinion. That's still very in character, very Steve Rogers, and that's the best part about this movie, which, really, that's the main thing they had to sell us on for this. Just who is Captain America, what's he like, and in that regard, well, this movie did really good. I would give this movie a 6 out of 10, which, like, it's good, but it's not great. That's what a 6 out of 10 would be for me, and it's got issues. It's got the underdeveloped plot, some of the underdeveloped characters, but when it's good, it's really damn good, in my opinion. So, yeah, in fact, I could easily just, like, I put down scores here in my notes of the acts themselves. Like, Act 1, it's a solid 8 out of 10. It's really good, really immersive, really engaging. Some good characters there, and the relationship seemed a little promising, actually, too, in the beginning, but then it didn't deliver. Act 2 is a 5 out of 10. There's not as much to it. It's just that montage sequence. That's the worst part of this movie. I forgot to bring that up. The montage is bad because it just skips out on some of the interesting parts of the story that could have made this feel like one of the best Marvel movies when it just wasn't, because the story is so underdeveloped and there's not much to it, as I said. It's just kind of boring and unengaging, but hey, I'm sure some people out there really liked it, and more power to them. You, the viewer, might be the one that thinks this movie's really good. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and that's fine. Tell me in the comments. We can talk about it. That sounds fun, actually. So, 6 out of 10. This movie is good but not great. It has a lot of problems, which is a shame because it could have been so much better. I hope you really enjoyed that video. I tried to make it less robotic than my Rogue One review, which before this I would say that's my best made video. This is probably the best just because it's got editing. Thank you to Truman Productions. Go subscribe to his channel, link down below. Anyway, this is Cade signing out, and I will see you next week and a half, 2 weeks at the most, with Captain Marvel. See you in the next video.